Coco Gauff's French Open nightmare, the shocking third-round exit that has tennis world stunned. Welcome back to Chatterbox, the channel that never sleeps when the drama is this good. And oh my goodness, do we have some drama for you today? Because the biggest story coming out of Roland Garros right now is not about who won, it's about who lost. And not just anybody. We're talking about the defending champion, the queen of clay herself, the 21-year-old American superstar who stood on this exact court just 51 weeks ago with tears streaming down her face and a Grand Slam trophy in her hands.
First, I would like to thank God for always keeping me covered. I was going through a lot of things when I lost in this final 3 years ago. And I'm just happy to be here. A lot of dark thoughts, and just the fact that I stayed to it just means a lot to be here. So yeah.
That's right, people. Coco Gauff is out of the French Open, and the tennis world is absolutely shaking. Let's set the scene, because the details here are almost too wild to believe. It's a Saturday evening in Paris, the city of light, the most romantic city in the world. Court Philippe Chatrier, the cathedral of clay tennis, is supposed to be buzzing with 60,000 volts of electric energy as the hometown hero. Well, not exactly hometown, but you get the point. As the defending champion takes the court to begin her march toward a second consecutive French Open title. This was supposed to be her coronation, her moment, her story. Instead, what happened was something that nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, saw coming. Coco Gauff, the number 2 seed, the face of women's tennis, the player who has been groomed for greatness since she was a teenager, walked off that court in defeat. Third round, 3 sets, gone, just like that. Anastasia Potapova, a 23-year-old who recently switched her representation from Russia to Austria, came into this match as a significant underdog and left it as the woman who ended the reign of the reigning champion. Happening, most of the crowd had literally left the building to go watch a soccer game. We'll get to that because it is absolutely part of this insane story. Now, before we dive deep into every excruciating detail of this match, let's give you a little bit of background on what has been going on with Coco Gauff this spring, because Paris did not arrive in a vacuum. The clay court season has been a genuinely strange and turbulent period for someone who, on paper, should be the undisputed ruler of every red clay tournament she enters. In Madrid, illness knocked her sideways. She was cruising through the draw, looking like the Coco we all know and love. And then out of nowhere, Linda Noskova, a good player, to be clear, but not someone who should be ending the title defense of a woman of Coco's caliber, sent her packing before the tournament even reached its climax. Coco was sick, Coco was battling, but Coco was out. Strike 1 on the clay. Then came Rome, the Italian Open, the Foro Italico, one of the most beautiful tennis venues on the planet. Surrounded by marble statues and soaked in history. Coco made the final, which sounds great on paper until you realize how she got there, and, more importantly, how she lost. She fell to Elina Svitolina in a match where, once again, she had her chances and could not close the door when it mattered. There's a pattern developing here, and we're going to come back to it because it is absolutely central to understanding what happened in Paris. Strike 2 on the clay. And then came Roland Garros, the biggest clay court stage of them all, the one where she had already written her name in history.
This was before we were in the playoffs. The Heat were in the playoffs. He offered me tickets to see the last last home game of the season. And then he DM'd me like a couple weeks later asking if I wanted more tickets.
The one where the pressure was at its absolute maximum. This was the tournament where defending her title meant everything, where the ghost of last year's triumph was going to follow her everywhere she walked. And the ghost, it turns out, was not a friendly one. So let's talk about the match itself, because it was a roller coaster from beginning to end. The kind of match that simultaneously shows you exactly how brilliant Coco Gauff can be and exactly how much she is still fighting demons she cannot quite shake. Potapova came out firing, breaking Gauff's serve in the very first game of the match. For a moment, you wondered if this was going to be ugly, if Potapova was going to steamroll the defending champion before the crowd even had a chance to settle in. But Coco, being Coco, came roaring back. That's one of the most remarkable things about her. She does not wilt easily. She does not fold. She fights. She grinded her way back from 2 to 4 down, reeled off for consecutive games, and took the first set. The champion was awake. The champion was alive. The story was back on track. And then the second set happened. And this is where things got genuinely spectacular in the most excruciating possible way. Coco fell behind 1-5 in that second set. 1-5. Potapova was serving for the set, with 2 chances to close it out right then and there. And most players, most human beings, would have packed it in mentally at that point. Now here is where the story gets even wilder, because throughout all of this drama, all of this back and forth, all of this tension, the stadium was barely half full. And the reason for that is one of the most strangely perfect details in this entire saga. While Coco Gauff was fighting for her French Open life on court Philippe Chatrier, Paris Saint-Germain were taking on Arsenal in the UEFA Champions League final. PSG, France's beloved soccer team. Their biggest game in years, possibly decades. And the fans in that stadium, most of them French, most of them with a choice to make between watching tennis and watching their national soccer heroes potentially lift the Champions League trophy. Well, they made their choice, didn't they? They streamed out. They went to find screens. They left behind wide swaths of empty wooden seats where a roaring crowd should have been. And this matters more than you might think, because one of the things that has always lifted Coco Gauff in the big moments is the crowd. She feeds off energy. She thrives when the atmosphere is electric and the people are screaming for her. At last year's French Open, the atmosphere was intoxicating, and it carried her through. In Paris on this night, there was no atmosphere. There was no crowd to lift her. There were empty seats and echoes and the distant sound of people who had somewhere else to be. In the moments when she needed a wave of noise to carry her over the finish line, there was silence. You can't prove it made the difference, but you also can't ignore it. The third set started with Coco back in control. She broke Potapova's serve and went up 3-1. Potapova was visibly tiring, her legs looking heavy, her movement lacking the sharpness it had earlier. This was Coco's match to finish. She had done the hard work. She just needed to close it out. But this is where those clay season demons came roaring back, because this is exactly the moment where Rome happened again and Madrid happened again. She could not finish. Potapova, credit where it's absolutely due, dug deep. She found something. She stopped giving Gauff easy points. And as the games ticked by and the advantage slipped away, Coco Gauff was standing on the precipice of a defeat that felt impossible and inevitable at the same time. At 4-5, serving to stay in the match, it all came apart. A double fault. A drop shot that found the net. Match point for Potapova. And then the moment that is going to be replayed on sports channels and highlight reels for weeks. Coco Gauff took a massive swing at her forehand, looking for the winner, looking for the shot that saves the season, looking for the miracle. The ball caught the rim of her racket. It flew into the stands, into the empty wooden seats of a half-empty stadium. And Coco Gauff's title defense was over. Point was played. Coco was sitting in the press conference, and she was still mentally back on that court at 3-3 in the deciding set. She had missed backhands on break points at that crucial juncture, and she just could not let it go. That just can't happen, she said, her voice carrying the weight of someone who knows exactly where the match slipped away and cannot quite forgive herself for it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I had chances, so I think just trying to capitalize more on these good points that I'm hitting and not quite finishing. So, yeah, I think that was the difference, that she was able to finish the points and I wasn't.
And that honesty is one of the things that makes Coco Gauff so compelling to watch and to follow, because she does not hide behind excuses. She does not point fingers. She looks at what happened, she names it, and she owns it. She talked about the pattern that has been developing through this entire clay season. Losing the same way, she said. In Rome, in Madrid, in Paris, the same failure mode. Seeing momentum, sensing the opportunity, and then lifting off the gas pedal at precisely the wrong moment.
I think just I feel like I lost the same way in Rome as I did here, which is not good, I think. I don't know, you never want to lose the same way back to back times. And I did. And I feel like also in Madrid, it was a similar thing, losing the same way. So
I see the momentum is on my side. I should keep putting my foot on the gas instead of maybe letting up a little bit. And I think that's what I did, she said. And there is something almost poetic and heartbreaking about that self-awareness, because she can see it. She knows exactly what she's doing wrong. She just has not yet found the way to stop herself from doing it in the heat of battle when the match is on the line and every nerve in her body is firing. There's a mental and physical tightrope that the very best athletes in the world walk every single time they compete at the highest level. You have to be aggressive enough to seize the moment, but calm enough not to overhit. You have to press when you're ahead, but not
Have you air
tighten
hockeyed
when the pressure
before?
rises.
yeah, I do a
It is an
lot.
impressive,
wow.
beautiful balance
Okay.
strike.
Is this like
And even the
competitive?
greatest
Or?
players
Well, do you
in
feel
history have
competitive?
struggled.
And I want to win,
But
but
for Coco Gauff,
Okay, let's go.
who has already shown she can be a Grand Slam champion, who has already demonstrated that she belongs at the very top of this sport, the gap between her potential and her execution in these crucial moments is what's keeping her up at night right now. And the grace she showed afterward spoke volumes. Standing on that court after the match was over, she looked at Coco and said something that cut right through the competitive moment and spoke to the mutual respect these athletes have for one another. Coco is such a champion. I respect her so much, Potapova said. I'm also a little bit proud of myself that I stayed here fighting to the last point. And I'm here. Simple words. Genuine words. The words of someone who has been through her own struggles and setbacks, and who understands that winning doesn't always feel the way you imagined it would when you were fighting to stay alive in the second set of a match. Coming out from this specific match, what does this defeat mean for Coco Gauff's season and her trajectory as a player? Let's be clear about something important. This loss does not unravel everything she has built. Her game did not fall apart. Her forehand did not go missing. Her serve did not betray her with a cascade of double faults. She did not spiral into negativity or start arguing with her coaching box. She competed hard. She fought for every point, and she lost to a player who was better than her in the moments that mattered most. That's tennis. That happens. What it means is that Coco now has a very specific and very concrete problem to solve before Wimbledon, before the US Open, before the rest of this Grand Slam season unfolds. She needs to find a way to finish. She needs to discover what it takes to close out a match when the opportunity is in front of her and the pressure is at its peak. The clay court swing of 2025 has been a mixed bag. There were brilliant moments. There was fighting spirit. There were glimpses of the player who dominated Paris 12 months ago and made the tennis world fall in love with her all over again. But there were also these recurring breakdowns in the crucial moments, this pattern of getting to the edge of victory and then blinking, that she now needs to address head-on. She knows about it. She's talking about it publicly, which suggests she's not hiding from it. Now the work begins. The Grand Slam summer is just getting started. Wimbledon is weeks away. The US Open, Coco's home Grand Slam, the tournament where she first announced herself to the world as a teenager who could beat Serena Williams, follows after that. The road ahead is long. The opportunities are many. And Coco Gauff is 21 years old, which means she has a decade or more of Grand Slams ahead of her. One early exit in Paris does not define a career. It does not define a player. What it does is provide information. What it does is sharpen focus. What it does is give a champion something to chase. Because here is the thing about Coco Gauff that you have to remember when you're sitting here watching a third-round exit and wondering what it all means. She has been in this position before. She has lost matches she should have won. She has fallen short at moments when the spotlight was at its brightest. And then she has come back, learned, improved, and won. She won the US Open when she was 19 years old, and she did it in front of her home crowd in New York, under the most intense pressure imaginable. She won the French Open last year. She has already done things that the vast majority of professional tennis players never get to do. The story is not over. The story, honestly, is just beginning. But right now, in this moment, in this chapter of the story, Paris hurt. And Coco Gauff is allowed to feel that hurt. She's allowed to sit in that press conference room and be honest about what went wrong and what she needs to fix. That honesty, that accountability, that refusal to make excuses, those are the traits of a champion, even when the champion has just lost. And while we sit here talking about what Coco should have done differently, Let us also acknowledge something that doesn't always get said loudly enough when a big name goes out early at a major. The woman who beat her is excellent. Potapova is not a fluke. She is not a lucky winner who stumbled into a result she didn't deserve. She played aggressive, intelligent, relentless tennis in the moments that counted. She came back from a set down. She found a way to stay in the match when Coco had turned it around. She played that tiebreak like she had not a single nerve in her body. And now she gets to walk into the second week of Roland Garros knowing she beat the defending champion on the main court of the tournament. That is a moment she will carry with her for the rest of her career. As for the empty stands and PSG versus Arsenal, we would be remiss not to return to this because it is genuinely one of the stranger subplots of this already strange evening. Imagine working your entire life to reach the point where you are defending a Grand Slam title. Imagine the years of training, the sacrifices, the blood and sweat on practice courts around the world. And then imagine the biggest match of your tournament defense unfolding in front of half-empty stands because your city's soccer team is playing a European final the same night. It is not Coco's fault. It is not Potapova's fault. It is just one of those bizarre intersections of scheduling and circumstance that sport occasionally throws at you. But it added a surreal, almost cinematic quality to the whole occasion that made it feel like something out of a movie rather than a real-life sporting event. This is sport. This is tennis. This is the French Open. And the drama. Oh, the drama never stops. So here we are, Chatterbox family. The defending champion is out. The tournament is wide open. And Coco Gauff is back to the drawing board, not because she is broken, but because she is human. Because greatness is not a destination you arrive at once and stay at forever. Greatness is something you have to fight for every single day, every single match, every single crucial moment when the pressure is highest and the margin for error is smallest. She will be back. She will learn from this. She will find a way to close out those matches in Rome and Madrid and Paris that slipped through her fingers this spring. And when she does, she is going to be more dangerous than ever. Until then, Paris hurts. And we feel every bit of it with her. We are always with you, Coco. Always. Now before you go anywhere, we need a second of your time because we put everything we have into bringing you the hottest stories, the deepest takes, and the most entertaining tennis content on the internet. And we need your support to keep doing it. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button right now. And we mean really smash it. Give it everything you've got. Drop a comment below telling us what you think. Did Coco let this one slip? Or was Potapova just that good? We genuinely want to hear from you. And if you are not already subscribed to Chatterbox, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss a single moment of drama, news, and storytelling like this. We are Chatterbox. We are here for every story. And we will see you in the next one.